When you're wide awake, say it for goodness sake. It's gonna be a great day. While you're standing there, get up and grab a chair. It's gonna be a great day, and it won't be long. It won't be long. No, it won't be long. No, it won't be long. No, it won't be long. It won't be long. Welcome, Seattle Unity. My name is Coons, and I'm coming to you all the way from sunny Brooklyn, New York. I wish I was there with you, but I'm so glad we get to share this time together. And I think from one look outside where it's pushing 90, I can tell today is going to be a great day. And it won't be long. It won't be long. It won't be long. When you're wide awake, say it for goodness sake. It's gonna be a great day. While you're standing there, get up and grab a chair. It's gonna be a great day.
Good morning, and welcome to Seattle Unity's online Sunday service. Our vision statement states that we are an accessible and inclusive spiritual sanctuary for all ages and stages of life. We offer spiritual practices and a community that honors diversity and encourages self-empowerment. We co-create a world that works for all. My name is Reverend Lindvig, and again, I'm grateful that you're joining us today. So let's join in our opening statement. There is but one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotence. So we call forth the goodness in all beings. We call forth the goodness in every situation, regardless of outer appearance, affirming divine order manifesting in every area of life on this planet. And it is so. Amen.
It goes like this. One step in the dance of life. One step, but the dance goes on and on and on and on. It's one step in the dance of life. One step, but the dance goes on and on and on. Yeah! One step in the dance of life. One step, and the dance goes on and on and on and on. And one step in the dance of life. One step, but the dance goes on and on and on. Yeah, one step in the dance of life. One step, when the dance goes on and on and on and on. It's one step in the dance of life. One step, and the dance goes on and on and on. Dance break. You know, this is the Uptown Funk groove, so do your Uptown Funk moves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Hebert, and I'd like to welcome you all to join us for the Seattle Unity Sunday morning meditation service at 9 a.m. every Sunday morning. You can connect via the Zoom link in the Sunday morning portal on the Seattle Unity website, seattleunity.org.
At this time, with the Zoom meetings, I feel like everybody's coming to my house. And it's really nice to be in my garden and have people that I wouldn't see otherwise, and all of us with a united heart.
So we hope you can join us and connect with your inner sanctuary in the safe presence of our community.
And now it's that time in our service where we turn our attention within and become still and quiet. So I invite you to prepare yourself for meditation in whatever way works best for you, but it helps to have your back straight and your feet firmly planted on the floor unless you are in a cross-legged position. And the purpose of meditation is to find that place of quiet within. And we know that because our thoughts are so active, that can be very difficult. So the practice is simply to watch one's breath. And when you find your mind wandering, as you will, just bring it back to the breath without judgment or criticism. Notice that you're wandering, bring it back. Notice a sound and bring it back. So I invite you as we begin this time to turn your attention within and to allow the sound of the bowl to take you into a deep place. And I invite you to continue in this place of centeredness and silence.
Hey, tomorrow, where are you going? And do you have some room for me? 'Cause night is falling and the dawn is calling. I'll have a new day if she'll have me. Hey, tomorrow, I can't show you nothing. You've seen it all pass by your door. So many times I said I've been changing, then slipped into patterns of what happened before. 'Cause I've been wasted and I've overtasted all the things that life gave to me. And I've been trusted, abused and busted, and I've been taken by those close to me. Hey, tomorrow, you gotta believe that I'm through wasting what's left of me. 'Cause night is falling and the dawn is calling. I'll have a new day if she'll have me. 'Cause we've been blinded and need to be reminded we can still move down this dusty road. And we've been broken, but you got us hoping we can help each other lighten this load. Hey, tomorrow, where are you going? And do you have some room for me? 'Cause night is falling and the dawn is calling. I'll have a new day if she'll have me. I'll have a new day if she'll have me.
Our guest speaker this morning is Reverend Judith Laxer. She is a modern-day mystic who believes that humor, beauty, and the wonders of nature make life worth living. She is the founding priestess of Gaia Temple, an inclusive earth-based ministry in Seattle, and they are about to celebrate 20 years of service next month. Judith also enjoys a successful private practice as a spiritual counselor, a hypnotherapist, shamanic practitioner, psychic, and teacher of women's mysteries. She's been a keynote speaker, and she is the author of Along the Wheel of Time, Sacred Stories for Nature Lovers. Judith has presented classes and workshops on the reemergence of the divine feminine since 1993 at conferences internationally. She dedicates her work to restoring the balance between feminine and masculine energy in our culture. So join me in appreciation and welcoming of Judith Laxer.
Good morning. I'd like to begin by expressing my gratitude for the opportunity to share my message with you this morning. And that is a message of spirituality through an earth-based lens. I am a pagan priestess, and whenever I utter the word pagan, I like to follow it up immediately by saying that the word actually means of the earth. That's all it means. The true definition of pagan means earthly, or of the earth. So in a way, we might say that all of us are pagan because we all live here on the earth. From a pagan perspective, we honor both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And the divine feminine we see as the earth herself, whom we've come to call Mother Nature. Really looking at that, though, we see that we view the earth as a sentient being, meaning that she is alive and she is aware and she is conscious. And so our relationship with the earth is not one that she is merely a resource to provide for us, although she does indeed provide for us. But like any other sentient being that we know, we form a relationship with that being. And it's quite a beautiful relationship. And one way that we do that is by listening very closely to the language of nature. As one who walks an earth-based spiritual path, I pay a lot of attention to the language of nature, and I track the changing of the seasons as we go through the solar year. And I do that because I want to align with nature. When we walk a nature-oriented spiritual path, we are always looking to see and asking ourselves, what is happening in nature all around us? How can I emulate that? That's the spiritual practice. By emulating what is taking place in nature, we live more closely aligned with her. And when we live more closely aligned with her, our lives are easier. And I believe that they become more deeply and more soulfully connected to living life here on this planet. So beautiful. So another reason to listen to the language of nature is because it's often a very quiet language, or it is spoken mostly quietly. And in our world, where there is so many voices that are shouting and shouting about other things, I fear we are losing our connection to the language of nature. And if we do lose it, we will lose all the wisdom that is inherent in that language. And that would be such a sad state of affairs. So in my tradition, we view the passing of time as cyclical rather than linear. And we call the model for the passing of time the wheel of the year. Now, wheels, like circles, of course, have no beginning and no ending. They go round and round. But rather than just thinking that we're just circling, chasing our tails round and round, we might think of that cyclical nature of the passing of time as a spiral. And so whether we think of ourselves as ascending spiritually, one way or another, we're moving or navigating as we go through time, as we grow spiritually, as our souls evolve. And on the wheel of the year, there are 8 natural earth holy days that we celebrate. And those are the solstices and the equinoxes. Those are the 4 cardinal points on the wheel. And then in between them, there are 4 cross-quarter days. And all 8 of these comprise the wheel of the year. And we celebrate. We have natural Earth Day celebrations on each one of these 8 pagan Sabbats. They're called Sabbats. And they come about every 6 weeks. And what they do is they mark the beginning of the new season and the peak of the season, and then the beginning of the next season and the peak of the next. And so the celebrations really are tracking the seasons and celebrating what's taking place as time goes by. And for most of us, you know, we track the seasons by whether we need to put on a sweater if it's colder, or get an umbrella if it's raining, or we get to wear our sandals in the summer, and we go mostly by the temperature, or we will mark it by the secular holidays or the other religious holidays. But when you follow nature, there's a different way of celebrating the passing of time. We align ourselves with nature because we know that we are not separate from nature. And at this season, where we are right now, which is second weekend in August, we are at the time of the harvest. Now, if, like me, you keep a garden, you've probably been harvesting from your garden for a while now. I was pulling in lettuce and radishes from my garden way back in April, and as the summer has progressed, I've enjoyed all kinds of wonderful things, chard and kale and broccoli and peas and string beans and what have you. But this particular time is the harvest of the grains. And the reason why that is significant is because to the ancients, before agriculture was developed, we followed the herds of animals in order to survive winter after winter. But once we figured out that we could plant a seed and it would grow in the same place next year, then we were able to sort of stay put and begin to feel a sense of home on the earth rather than continually roaming. The grains in particular meant that once we figured out how to harvest them and preserve them and turn them into flour, that meant we could bake a loaf of bread in the middle of winter when food was scarce and the earth was not abundant. And so this also significantly changed our lives and how we relate to the natural world around us. We are so used to, in our modern day, just going to the grocery store and picking up a loaf of bread whenever we are hungry or whenever we want one. And so when we really think about what goes into actually bringing the bread to the table, it raises our appreciation for nature, and we get back into a stronger relationship with nature. So I find that to be a beautiful thing. So this is, the time of the harvest. And another thing that is interesting about it is that, to the ancients, the season of summer and the time of harvesting was a time of a lot of work. We wait for the summer to take our vacations, just to show us how far away we've gotten from nature. It's at midwinter when the earth is fallow that we should be lying down for a long winter's nap and resting. Instead, we go into the busiest social time of the year. We've completely gone to the opposite way of how nature is actually happening. And I think that's has brought a lot of the troubles in our world because we have left that deeper connection with nature. And so here we are at the time of that first harvest, and that is what we are celebrating. Now, because of these modern day conveniences and our ability to just go to the grocery store and get whatever we want whenever we want it, it's sort of cultivated this very short-term vision. And it's brought us to this place of wanting immediate gratification all the time. We have cultivated getting our needs met like this as soon as we can, as often as we can. That is what we have cultivated in our culture. And it's very short term. And it is born also of an urgency. So we can look at what's going on in our world right now, and so much of it is urgent. We can start with this pandemic right now, and it is not an epidemic, it is a pandemic. It is global, and it is serious, and it is life and death dire, and it is contagious, and it is not contained. And so it brings this great sense of urgency. And when things are urgent, we need to tend to them in the moment. That is appropriate and right action. So there's that. And then we can look at climate change and what's going on now with these wildfires that are raging out of control, and hurricanes being way more intense than they've ever been, and tsunamis and earthquakes, and the temperatures rising, and all that's going on there. And it is urgent, and it brings our attention to exactly what we need to do to take care of ourselves in the moment. Then we can look at what's going on in our country with this great divisiveness politically, and also where we stand in the country in the global community. And it is urgent. And so everywhere we look, we feel this sense of urgency, and it makes us want to just hunker down and take care of things and get everything we can get for ourselves right here, right now. We can't let the urgency bring the short term in so much into focus that we forget about the long-term thinking. We must return to thinking long-term as well so that we stay in balance. Now, thinking ahead and catastrophizing ahead are two completely different things. And it's easy right now when wherever we look, we are finding dire and urgent situations to find one catastrophe after another. And that gets our brains thinking that this is it. We're only going to have catastrophes from here on out. And oh my God, and oh my goodness, and what are we going to do? And I know when I get to that place where I am catastrophizing everything, it does one of two things for me. It either plunges me into deep despair and sorrow for the state of the world, which is very disempowering, or I get paralyzed in fear about what's taking place. And neither of those are healthy or good And neither of them are helpful, because when I'm either a heap of tears on the floor or I'm paralyzed in fear, I am not taking actions toward a future reality that I want to live into. And that is really crucial. And the way we do that is by keeping our heads and using our own critical thinking skills, checking in with our own hearts and souls about what we believe to be true, reminding ourselves about the future that we want to live into, and taking actions now in order to have that manifest into the future. And so that's why I called this service Making Hay While the Sun Shines. We've all heard that expression, and essentially what it means is taking the opportunity in the moment to prepare for something for the future. Now, I have never really thought more about making hay while the sun shines beyond the metaphoric meaning of what that is. And so I did a little research to find out exactly how hay is made. And it is a process like anything else that we value. We're not going to just get it like that. There's certain things that have to happen in order for that hay to be made. So hay is a grain, and it is a grass, and typically it is cut in early spring or late spring or early summer, and then hopefully enough will grow again for another mowing of the hay in early autumn. And then once it's mowed, it just stays there on the ground to dry. And then it needs to be flipped so the underside dries before it is raked together and then baled for storage. And it must be dry, because if it's damp, it will mold. And if it molds, then it is no good. And the whole reason why we bale hay to begin with is to feed our livestock during the fallow time of winter. I'm sure there are vegetarians and vegans in this congregation who don't eat animals, but one way or another, all of us must continue to survive, and we all need food to do so. So we must make hay while the sun shines, because if it's raining, it's going to mold, and we're not going to have what we need in the future. So I thought this was just a perfect little metaphor, a saying for what I'm talking about here today, which is preserving for our future and reminding ourselves to look forward a little bit more. So at this time, we are asking ourselves, what are we doing to preserve what is coming in this harvest? Are we canning things? Are we drying things? Are we putting them in the freezer? And we can look at all of that, or the actual food that's coming in from the garden. But on a soul level, when we look at all of this through our spiritual eyes, we can ask ourselves also, what are the things that we have planted? How are they growing? How is that harvest going to be? You know, when we look at what we have sown in the garden of our lives, we might ask, what is it that we actually planted? Did we plant the good things, the charitable acts, the acts of kindness, generosity, forgiveness, like all of the beautiful things that we want to be and we want to receive from others? Is that what we sowed in the garden of our lives? And if so, how are they doing? How's that coming along as we continue to go through time? Or is what we sowed maybe not such good things? Were we planting fear, maybe, or greed, or anger, you know? And it's just good to take a look, because at the time of harvest, one of the things that we do is we're assessing how this process is going. Oh, there's something on the vine, but it's looking a little peaked. When was the last time I watered? Maybe it needs more food or fertilizer. Are there any pests on it, predators that I need to remove? Are there any weeds growing around it that are stealing nutrients from the soil? It requires tending, just like our souls and our spirits require tending, and our lives require tending. And we might ask ourselves the same questions. What did we plant? Is that what we want to reap in time? And if it is, then where are we in the process now, and what is needed either to course correct or to make sure that we are going to bring in that beautiful harvest? These are the things that we take a look at. And when we, another thing I want to bring up about that is that because we are so used to our modern conveniences, we often think that, oh, well, we'll just put a seed in the ground and we'll come back in the autumn and we'll have everything that we need and want. And we tend to abandon the works that we begin. Sometimes we shirk responsibility when it turns out to be a little bit more effort than we want to make. But that would also be something that's really good to do like early on. If I'm going to plant this row of peas, did I make a trellis? Is it close to where I can water it? You know, all of those sort of things go into it. And when we look at this metaphor about how we can live our lives spiritually, we really ask ourselves the same question. What are we preserving now as we think toward the future? What are we going to need in the future that we must take care of or put into practice now so that it is there when we meet it in time? What are the good acts we can do now that will bring blessings? The truth of it is, and control enthusiasts such as myself don't care for this too much, but we're really not in control of very much. We can only control the things in our immediate vicinity. We can only control and cultivate the relationships that we have with the individuals that we know. It's a big world out there, and we can't control what happens out there. We can only control the actions that we take, knowing on a grassroots level that we are one blade of grass, but we are all in that lawn together. And as I take care of my little plot here, that's going to connect to the little plot next to me, and on we go. We really can only control our own individual gardens, and hopefully we are growing them with love and care and as organically as we possibly can. And that is because we are not separate from nature. And that is because when we live a life aligned with nature, we are more deeply, spiritually connected to her and to the rest of the world. We are, all of us, in this together. So before my final words, I'd like to just lead us in a very brief prayer to Mother Earth, to Mother Nature. And so we ask, dear Mother, we lift our hearts in gratitude for you and for all that you provide for us, our food, our shelter, our clothing, but also for your beauty and your diversity, for your unconditional love. It seems no matter what we do on this earth, you still provide for us. And we are grateful for this. So we offer up a prayer of gratitude, particularly at this time of harvest. And in our prayer, perhaps we also make a promise to treat you with the respect that you so deserve, to be more mindful with each step that we take on your beautiful body, to take no more than we need, and to share even half of that. And that we are grateful, consciously grateful, moment by moment, for all of your gifts. Thank you, Great Mother. And so, my friends, may you be happy reaping what you have sown. May your hay be dry and stored well in advance, and may your harvest be bountiful. Thank you so much, and blessed be.
Hello, I'm Rick Miller, and I invite you to join me in practicing the law of giving and receiving through your generosity. You can give by text using the number on the screen below, or donate through our website at seattleunity.org. While you're on the website, check out the recurring donation feature, which makes it easy. For now, hold the spirit of your gift in your heart as we affirm. I give willingly, joyfully, and lovingly, knowing that God is the constant source of my supply. I give with graciousness and receive with gratitude. Thank you for joining us today. Let's close the service by saying together our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
One step from the dance